Yo, what is up, legends? Hope you're all doing well. Had an awesome week and an awesome weekend so far. So it was quite an interesting week in the charts, as I expected the market to move mostly bullish, but the market decided to show me something different on Friday and decided to absolutely just crash down. Now let's have a look at what I'm looking for in the week ahead. So going on the monthly time frame, just marking off our spots again. First of all, we're going to take our monthly zone or our horizontal line, use our template of the monthly zone, and just mark off all these important zones that we've got on the monthly time frame, and just make sure that we use them when the chart moves towards and away from these areas. Okay, go down to the weekly time frame, mark off the weekly zones that we have. We've got this one here. Just change the template quickly. There we go. And we've got this one here. That's so close. I'm just going to delete that one. Just look at the difference. Now it's good enough for now. I just want to keep it there. There's a lot of manipulation in the market, so make use of it as much as I possibly can. And then possibly put another one here as well. Come. There we go. And I'm just going to keep those ones there. I'm not going to add any more on the weekly time frame for now. And just have a look on the daily time frame. If there's anything important immediately where we are, there is one or two that I'm going to look at. I'm going to look at that one there. And just change my daily template to that area there. And maybe this one here as well. And then the most important one that's really catching my eyes is actually this area here. If I take this one and I move it there, so that one is the most important to me, but it's so close to this one here that we might expect, if the market does what I expect it to do, that the market can actually manipulate a little bit lower to the lower line and not just stop there, to be exact. So looking back at what happened this week when I called the buy on Sunday evening, I mentioned that it's this area that I'm looking for, and you can see the market actually played around the area, wicked a little bit to the lower. So I think we might expect the same thing. Okay, so I'm just gonna lock all of my lines and just make sure that they're there. I know the previous week I did not take any of the daily zones on the left. I only took the daily zones that was basically on this side. Now the reason why I'm taking these zones there is because there is less areas moving down to where we are currently looking at, and I don't want to clutter my chart. So, and on the daily I'm going to show you something different here. It's a video that I made for my students, I think on Friday morning, that I'm going to put on this YouTube video as well. Okay, so on the weekly time frame, this is currently what we are seeing. We had this massive bear push, we had this doji, and then a nice little bullish one with a nice bull wick to the top. And I did mention that there's a possibility that the market can actually just break down completely from that area, although I did expect it to go bullish. So I did catch a couple of buys, I did make some money on the buys. I did not expect the sell on Friday evening coming in this hard, basically just breaking down immediately. Okay, so on the daily time frame, looking at this structure, so clearly what is happening now, or it seems like what is happening now, is that this ABCD pattern that I showed on last week's video is actually playing out. This bearish ABCD pattern that I did not expect to happen, but it seems like it is happening. So essentially it's A, B, C and D going down now. But there's one very important aspect that, or area, that we still need to keep in mind on this chart. And if we go down to the lower time frames, we can use the lower time frames to our advantage of that specific zone. And the area that I'm looking at is the area that I just mentioned previously in the video, is this little area here. It's a bit of a order block that formed on the daily time frame, and the market can easily just push down to this zone, get liquidity here, and then a continuation to the top. Although we do see mostly bear momentum in the market. So what this means for me, and what I'll be doing when I take my trades, is actually wait for the market to maybe pull back a little bit after this bear push on Friday, possibly get into sells and see what happens when the market comes to this area. I'm going to take this one away here and look what the market does. Anything between 14,120 and 14, we can actually take it to the bottom. So expect to see, I would like to know what the market does in this whole area here. Also looking at this weekly zone that we've got and this monthly zone that we've got here. Now, depending on what the market does in the zone, if we do find a lot of support here on the daily time frame and maybe on the 4-hour time frame, or maybe just a wick on the daily zone with a daily candle, like Monday can literally just be a wick to the downside here, get liquidity and continue, or it can actually just come down, consolidate and break down, or literally just break down completely. So the key thing to use in this instance is patience. Do not trade just because you've got FOMO. Wait it out and see what the market wants to do. Wait to see what the market wants to show you. Trade what you see and not what you feel. Don't feel that the market's going to buy. Don't feel that the market's going to sell. Look at what the market's doing. React to what the market is showing you. Do not pretend that you think that you know the market is definitely going to do something that might cost you money. So what I'm saying is that there's a possibility looking at this order block, but the market is mostly bearish, so we are definitely looking at bear movement in the overall concept, but we can expect some turnaround at this specific zone. So the 4-hour is the one that I'll be checking the most, and the 1 hour to see if we do find a lot of supports and resistance here. Maybe this area can be retested here at the top. That's now been basically broken, so the market can possibly move back to this area. And if we look at ABCD patterns on the 1 hour, we've got a nice 38.2 there. We can look at that area, looking for a new ABCD pattern, maybe a nice pullback to the 51 or the 50%, and then a nice trade to the bottom. So essentially looking for something like this, possibly, and then see what the market does in this area. Oh, that's a bit too low. See what the market does in this area here, and see if the market actually wants to turn around, start a new structure, and then a continuation up, or consolidate and break down completely, or maybe just break down completely without consolidation. So yeah, it's nothing major. My overall view for the week is mostly bearish, seeing that we have formed this structure here, but I have seen a lot of times that areas like these are being used only or purely just to manipulate the market. So it is possible that the market can literally form a nice bullish engulfing candle to the top, after this candle, bullish engulfing candle, and then a nice retest of this top of these two candles. So basically using this monthly and weekly zone here to move back up. I'm just going to see if I can find an example of that on the chart quickly. I know that Nasdaq loves doing this on the lower time frames. I'm just looking if I can see one on basically on the daily time frame. Okay, so this one is a little bit of an example, but not really. Let me go down to the 4-hour quickly and see if I can find something there. Okay, so here's a nice example, or here's a perfect example actually. So here, when the market moved bearish, we found a nice bullish engulfing candle, spinning top, and then a massive bearish engulfing candle that would have expected, or if you look at this tiny structure, you would have expected, because of that resistance, that that area would have been a retest and then a continuation down because of that resistance. But immediately we broke away from it, started consolidating at the top of this little box here, and then possibly it could have moved up, but we found a lot of resistance at the previous resistance point, this one here, and we were mostly in a bearish movement, so that is why it eventually actually just went down. But the market loves doing that, using those little zones, especially if the market forms a bit of support, then break through the supports on the bearish structure, and then immediately breaks back with the bull structure. Here's another perfect one. We've got a little one here. The market moved bearish. We started forming a little bit of support here, as you can see, and then we made a massive bearish engulfing candle, and then a breakaway from that area. And guess what area was retested? This area. So the market broke away from it, came back, retested this little zone, and went back up. So let's see what Monday holds for us. I think there's a possibility that the market can fake us out, especially if we're looking on this weekly time frame. So this weekly time frame might possibly just push massively bullish to the top, come back down to retest another week or later the month, and maybe get some liquidity here and then a continuation back up. So it is possible, but the overall structure is bearish. So I'm looking for mostly sells now. I changed my mindset. I did send out the video on Friday to my students to make sure that they understand I've changed my mindset back to bearish after this bear movement. Basically, we caught this nice buy that I caught that I shared in my students group. And the other thing that I wanted to show you guys is I'm going to take away these zones quickly here, just to clear up my chart quickly. So if we look on the weekly time frame, the reason why I went into the buy, or the smaller buy that we got there, is because of this. So if we look at this whole structure here, this massive support zone here that we've got, I took a horizontal line because something didn't make sense to me, and I took horizontal line and I put it on this first wick that we've got there, and I went down to the daily time frame to see what the market did at that specific area of the wick, and this is what we saw here. And then at that stage we were round about there, I believe, when I made the video, and I told them, okay, so I'm looking at the top of this area here. If I take off my magnet, I look at the top of this area here, and I'm seeing a lot of support being formed on that specific zone. If you go down to the lower time frames, especially on the 4 hour, we had a nice breakaway, found support there, and this is basically what formed there. So I started explaining that we should start looking for buys there, and essentially that is what happened. The market actually didn't break me out. I actually got into a perfect trade somewhere there. And so yeah, that's basically what happened, and then the market started pushing back down again, and I didn't expect the market to actually break down completely. So yeah, let's see what this week holds for us. Be wary of just getting into trades. It's going to be an interesting week. As I said, we are literally in the middle of a possible fake out structure. This is a very possible fake out structure, so be wary of just getting into trades. Make sure that you know what you're seeing, trade what you see, not what you feel, and be patient in the market. Let your setups form completely before you actually get into a trade, just because you feel like getting into a trade. So yeah, it's going to be an interesting week. Let's see what happens. If you got any questions, got any opinions, just leave me a comment down below. Feel free to join my free Telegram group, and feel free to reach out to me directly. I have removed myself from all socials, or basically deactivated all my social accounts. So I don't have Instagram anymore, don't have Facebook anymore. I feel like there's much more positive stuff in the world that I can keep my time busy with. So yeah, I hope you guys have an awesome week, and I'll speak to you in the next one. Have a legendary week. Cheers.